After some pretty quick one-sided games so far today, we are hopefully entering more of the back and forth territory with DZ going up against M80 here on the fourth playday of the NAL. Hi guys, I'm Ginny, joined with Foxy and Lax. And for this one specifically, DZ, M80, I mean, M80's got something to prove, and the question here is that winning streak gonna continue?
I think this is definitely a good rivalry. Should be a good matchup. Now, these two did meet last stage. DZ did absolutely blow the lights out on them, winning a 7-2 on border, but I think this is a completely different M80, especially the time given to be able to recoup, reform, and actually just perform better as a whole. And as for Darkzero, there's still a lot more question marks, especially after EWC, them reevaluating their playstyles. Not to count them out by any means, but overall, this should be a good matchup, statistically speaking.
Yeah, DZ specifically in stage one, something that we kept referring to them was like they are the Swiss Army knife. They're able to do a lot of different things, and we're still seeing that, even though maybe some of the games are not necessarily going the way that they would like them to.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about at the start of the stage, you need to switch stuff up coming from EWC. Now they're trying to go back to just the bread and butter, what works in the NAL. And obviously, we saw it yesterday. I mean, a big part of that was gaining initial control, getting for that opening pick, and then maintaining that control. They have such good position holders, so once they get them set up after that initial pick, that's where DZ thrives.
Yeah, Nafe and NJR as well specifically had some really, really good moments in the last couple of play days as well.
Yeah, you can see their whole ideology and exactly what they were doing. I mean, Nafe using the shield to take position. This is when they were playing Cruelty yesterday. They attacked basement. They'd end up losing the round, but taking this shield, taking this position, I'm trying to paint the picture for you of how DZ plays every single round. So they use utility to go for that execute. It doesn't go their way this round, but immediately round 3, they bring the Monty again to go for a Rafters pick. They push him all the way out. They get that initial pick. They force the players in Rafter to have to jump down. And once they get this pick, they have Rafters control. That is their foothold. It's all about DZ getting that foothold. Once they do it, they are very comfortable. They are very methodical. And immediately after, they pretty much win this round. And then we go to see them in Master, the NJR clutch. And this is what we're talking about. When you're in that foothold, once they get the position, they get that execute. Who better than NJR to be in a position to hold it? He almost never loses situations like that. They was such a problem that the Monty ends up getting banned, but again, same ideology from Darkzero. Instead of shields, they use the utility. They nade onto the main stairs. They isolate this individual pick, force him out. They get it. Look at them. There's 4 DZ members posted up there. Once they get that pick, they set up the rest of the team, and that's the execute for Darkzero. As old as time. That's the old Darkzero that we played against. Once they execute, once they're set up, it's very difficult to push them out of it, and you never want to let DZ set up. So they're going back to the bread and the butter. It works so far, but now they're going to try it against a team that's not Cruelty, a team that's a higher echelon, similar in skill level. So we'll have to see if they stick to that, or if they get in their own head, try to throw in some more aggressiveness to it.
Yeah, you're talking about them going back to the bread and butter and just in general being a very consistent team. They also have players that have always been very consistent, and NJR is one of the players that so far here on stage 2 has been able to keep that going.
Yeah, he's arguably one of the best players in the NAL, time and time again. He doesn't seem to be showing any type of slowdown, and this is all 3 play days up until yesterday of him just consistently being there. He's almost like this silent slayer on this team. You aren't really noticing him every single round, but he's impactful every single round because once he's put up in a spot, you're not getting it back from him, especially on the repels. Every player knows how devastating NJR on the repel is. I don't know if anybody's ever killed him off a repel, to be honest, but that being said, when you have that system of setting up NJR, taking the position, as long as the start goes smoothly, the rest for DZ just follows suit.
Yeah, they have a system that works, and M80 also has a system that has been working because this roster, we've seen them in stage 1, didn't necessarily reach the heights that they wanted to achieve, but they stayed locked in, they were staying consistent, and it's looking like it's paying off.
Yeah, they're off to a great start so far. I mean, 3-0 easily today, could possibly be a 4-0. And the biggest thing for me is they just need to tighten things up because that's where we really have seen them struggle throughout this or not have as convincing of some wins, especially even in their game against Wildcard in specific. A lot of rounds where they get that opening engagement, which I want to praise them for. They're doing extremely well off from the first game to now. They're getting those opening engagements and getting these man advantages, but that's where they're losing some of these rounds as well, is when they are in that advantage. So it's really just about slowing down. But overall, M80 as a whole has made tremendous strides of improving from their last stage to what they're looking like right now. And I got to commend them for it.
Yeah, I got to also commend Kino for yesterday's performance specifically, where that one round just changing the balance of the scales completely in their favor.
Yeah, and realistically, I did say I thought Wildcard looked better on their attack, but the defense from M80, it's always been a good stronghold, and especially when you're now slotting Kino in these positions to just be this foothold, as Foxy was saying, just that foothold, locking himself in these positions. That round 12 right there was really the difference maker with how close this game was. Getting that momentum shift off of Kino's backing and being able to clutch that game is what propelled them to even get over that hurdle, win that game against Wildcard, get those much needed points, and still setting them up for success here. And again, this was the one change that they added into this stage, was removing Kino off that flex role and allowing him to just play a more static support role. And due to that, it's allowed everyone's forthcomings to be just more enjoyable on their role, to be able to get their role down better, knowing, like I said, that someone is going to be that centerpiece, someone's going to be that pillar, and that pillar has been Kino. And in that last game in particular, he definitely showed through.
Yeah, and as well, just seeing the fact that they are in the same gaming house together too, that also is going to help a lot when it comes to rosters and just being able to, get used to each other IRL and off the server. But on the server is where they're going to have to play today, and with the map vetoes coming through, this should be an interesting one.
I was going to say, let's maybe not go back to a border, because I don't think M80 was ready for that border when they obviously played up against one another. But I do think, I think it might be a lair. Nope. Okay, we're getting rid of lair. I was going to say, maybe a shot in the dark, we're going to see a lair, but it's going to end up on console. This makes sense. This is a comfortable map for both these teams. I think the big thing when we saw M80 play against a team like SSG on it was it was really well-tamed aggression. They knew when they could play aggressive. They knew when to fall back. I assume that's probably going to be the exact same scenario here with Darkzero, is just knowing when to get aggressive on their attacks and also knowing when to fall back off that. And also, if DZ is going to be using these shields, I have no doubt on their defensive side, they are going to make it an absolute hellhole for Spears to try to make his headway to force any bit of control for the side of DZ.
Yeah, if they're leaving the shields up, that'll be the factor to watch. I really think it's going to be a shield versus shield game. And if all the shields are taken off the board, it really will come down to Kino versus Spirits. If they're not playing shields, will they be playing the Ying? Will they be playing the Glass? I mean, we saw Kino be able to flex a lot in yesterday's matchup. That being said, on a map like Consulate, it is a lot slower paced. M80 has historically had issues when it comes to getting into the building of Consulate just because of how slow paced it is. So that'll be the biggest question, is will M80 just be able to first get into the building and everything else can go from there?
So my question then is, do we have a prediction that we want to put out there? So far, you guys have been pretty accurate, I would say.
I was wrong last game.
You know, I'm still going to stick with M80. I am confident in this pick for both of them. Like I said, it's a comfortable map for both teams, but just with how M80 has been playing as a whole and been progressing as a whole, I think it's pretty clear for me the vision that I see M80's going for. And again, I'm confident that they're going to take it here.
Spice it up and throw in a round?
This should be a good one. I will say it's going to go overtime. But I can't say like an 8-7. I think maybe an 8-6. And if it's not an 8-6, 7-5.
I have this feeling that DZ is going to win, but I feel like based off of paper, momentum, how M80's been playing, it would be a disservice to switch my vote. So I'm going to stay with M80. I believe in them, but I got this feeling. I have this inkling that DZ might turn up today just because it's M80.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see, because we're ready to head into our game as well with our casters. So Ollie, Lynx, let us know who you think is going to be taking this one.
Well, apropos of what Fox was just talking about, there's a very good reason why he probably has a feeling that Darkzero might come away with it, Ollie, because in the past, year and a half or so, this is a pretty one-sided rivalry, if you want to call it.
Yeah, it's certainly building to, rivalry level, isn't it? Obviously, M80 and DZ have both been orgs inside of NAL for some time now, but it hasn't been going too well for M80. The last time that they beat Darkzero inside a stage play, or just in general, was actually stage 1 of last year. Since then, it has been fairly convincing for the side of Darkzero. And, I mean, there's a few factors that sort of can get thrown into that. Obviously, both of these two teams have made roster moves in and around that period, so it isn't strictly speaking correct that these 5 players versus these 5 players have played each other this many times and this is the result, but that is the sort of overarching storyline between these two somewhat veteran orgs inside of NAL at the moment. Looking toward the map of a consulate, it does come in as very high preference for M80, but that being said, I don't know that it's a super high preference map for everybody else. And it isn't the map that if you'd have asked me what's M80's top preference map, I don't think that I would have picked a Consulate. It just it isn't a map that sort of strikes me as theirs. You know, maybe a Lair or maybe even a Nighthaven Labs more specifically, yes, but it doesn't really strike me as a map that they love too much. But that's what the stats would suggest. On the flip side, for Darkzero, it comes in a little bit lower. And again, you know, it's a team that we know can play this map, but I think the map is sort of second fiddle in this matchup because these two teams, they need to get this dub tonight. We've already spoken about how the standings is a little bit topsy-turvy, particularly for M80 and Darkzero. I mean, M80 not doing too bad coming into the day. They were in second place. Darkzero 6 points, but it isn't the record that they started off at stage 1 with.
No, certainly it is not, though. Objectively, it'd be quite difficult to beat that record. Your best hope is matching it at this point. Can't get better than what they had. We'll see how Consulate goes, though, as you said. Whether or not you would have found this off the top of your head to be an M80 favorite, it is a map they did play quite a bit last stage. Wildcard, Cloud9, 2 games they played on Consulate, like right out of the gate in stage 1. Then, of course, a couple more times throughout the course of stage 1 of this year. And I am not particularly shocked we will see a glass ban come through. And I imagine when we swap sides, we'll see a glass ban from Darkzero. Both of these teams are honestly 2 that I think run, or at least have been running Glaz the most, or at least on this map where I can remember them running Glaz a lot. In particular, M80 have a couple strats that, similar to what you see on a map like Lair, you know, throw the smoke down, say when you're attacking one of the first floor bomb sites, not this one, the other one. When you're attacking the first floor bomb sites, throw the smoke down, look up through the smoke to challenge the vertical. Seen them run a lot of Glaz on this map. Seen Darkzero run Glaz on quite a few maps. It's an operator that both teams love quite a bit. Then, of course, the Ying gets banned from M80 to follow up. You've got Spirits and Pamazoo on Darkzero, some of the best Ying players we have in North America. Not all that shocking. Mute's kind of interesting, though.
I was going to come on to that. The Mute is the shocking ban of them all, and Darkzero choosing to remove that. Now, you got to ask yourself, for what reason? Now, there's ways of dealing with Mute Jammers, yes, granted. But when you start thinking about roaming, particularly on that top floor of Consulate, there are so many good mute jammers that you can place. Consulate also is a map where elevated mute jammers really come into play as well. And what I mean by that is that you can place a mute jammer on a table or on a bookcase, and that's actually gonna, because the mute radius works as a sphere, not just as a 2D sort of outline, that's actually gonna provide you a little bit of benefit as well. So the drone game should be a lot easier here from Darkzero. It of course frees up all sorts of other bits and bobs as well. Flores drones, even blitz shield. You know, you can't flash with a blitz shield if you're in a mute jammer. So there's tons of little bits and bobs that it is going to benefit right now. And well, already speaking of the blitz, Spirits isn't wasting any time, given that that is one of his favored operators.
Ooh, just waiting for the smoke to go down, runs on in. It's something I've noticed that kind of separates seemingly some of the top teams from the bottom teams, is trying to use this shield to make space. And, well, fortunately right now, what's separating this team in the lobby is who can get a value out of it, and Spirits fails to do so. Might take immediate control of the site, both him and Nay fall. And so M80 retained control of both A and B site. Darkzero forced out and trying to calm in the mid game to figure out what they can do. NGR has a position quite close to the site, but might as well be a world away from the diffuser. Both him and Pamazoo down below. But control of the objective, what actually can facilitate the transition to a post plan, is in the hands of the defense and stuck inside of Archives.
Yeah, that case being on the floor is a big problem. And to be fair, Darkzero did a very good job with it. It wasn't as if Spirits had the kit. It was Nath that actually had the diffuser. Spirits was trying to push through and make that space. Now a recovery mission is afoot. And I don't think it's going to be an easy one. Diffuser, close range with the super shorty. Just needs to bide his time. He'll need all 3 shots, but it will take NJR down.
Bit of soft destruction done in the process. As Pamazoo checks the hole made, loses his life in the process. Round kind of given to M80 there. Not given in terms of Darkzero didn't do anything, but once Spirits, the Space Maker, and Nath, the planter, goes down, and nobody from Darkzero's really in a position to trade effectively, that's kind of the ball game there. M80 all rotates to focus around defending not only the diffuser, but also making sure that they've also got redundancies around these various positions. Diffuser probably the weakest link there just because he's got to watch his left and his right, but still has that shotgun around the corner and still so much that Darkzero would have to clear. Being able to repel those 2 early engagements and probably find the 2 most important operators you could have in that 5v5 makes that round really easy for M80, and they start things off with a win on the split side to start.
Thinking back to that round, if NJR was 5 seconds sooner get into his position, I think that's successful, and I think that's maybe what Darkzero were going for. And either NJR's got caught up on the way, or Spirits and Nath have gone a little bit too far ahead. There was some sort of desync, wasn't there? Because NJR's position was brilliant for watching those stairs, and if he'd have been there, he'd have very likely picked up the kill, and it would have been very easy then to transition into getting that plant down and to hold the site in a post, but wasn't meant to be. Just like this spawn peak, you can see that Gunnar is searching for nobody. There is somebody on cameras, top left of the screen, but immediately there is Nath. Should be able to make his way back to site safely. Gunnar would have to be incredibly patient indeed to watch a spawn peak for 30+ seconds. Never mind a little 15 at the start of the round. It is going to allow these DZ players just to get in a little bit safer. Nath immediately looking to try and give his drone a little bit of security getting through. Little pop stunt sent out. Pamba already on the rappel as well. This top floor looking free for the taking right now. DZ going to get themselves in. It is going to be a full map clear, though, as we are looking toward the basement site.
That's Gunnar all the way on the opposite side, now creeping back down the Visa stairs. It's Spirits charging in. Who spots Gavini playing pretty deep inside the top floor. Immediately runs into Panmazoo, and what a tricky position you have found yourself in. Gunnar also going down. You can see M80 give the call to try to support this Azami, and NGR ready for it. Big kills to start for Darkzero, matching M80's early success of round 1. A minute and a half, you can get all this vertical destruction. You've also choked off a lot of the rotates as well. C4 wasted. Things could not be going better for Darkzero.
Yeah, DZ have done a great job there, and they've still got Spirits to try and space make and bully some of these defenders around. Kino going to be the next player in his sights. Might try and recover that smoke canister, or just double checking that it's still there. Should be able to pop that.
Ooh.
Better placement that time. He's going to just push Spirits off.
They can play this dance all they want. Spirits is just burning utility. Nice. It's the kind of off angle you need to hold in the 3v5. Try to claw back that man count, but also a tricky position. You can see Darkzero realized and cut him off. They even try to open up vertical above him. Quite greedy for this castle at the moment, and you always have to be weary of these kinds of gunfights, but they work out for NJR. It's a 4v2. Time well spent. Utility well burned as Kino is completely out of toxic canisters. Hot and Cold uses C4 a long time ago. That's uncharacteristically sloppy given the time that we're at, and with the Blitz running in by himself, Darkzero started to let things slip entirely. Panmazoo's covering from up above, but quite low HP, created their own rotate, slipped their own way in, and they get the kill on top? That is highway robbery from M80, and one of the craziest throws I've seen in the NAL.
We've got questions. Citizen and Pamba, please report for questioning.
We need alibis.
What? We need alibis. At 12:10 British Standard Time on the 13th of the 9th, what exactly were you doing? And what exactly were you watching? Because, let's be honest, it wasn't Kino who was freely able to get a kill onto NJR, despite the fact that he was dancing with Spirits on the Blitz only moments before, and you knew exactly where he was. Like, how is that allowed to happen? 4 versus 2, by the way. DZ, that is a round you should be walking away from. I'm kind of surprised to not see a timeout called there, just to try and steady the ship. They might be waiting to take it at the ban point so that they get a little bit longer to discuss, but round 1, fair enough. M80 played well. Round 2, that wasn't M80 playing particularly well. Darkzero did a great job of punishing Castle, caught inside a small. They knew that that Castle could not go anywhere. It was one cheap kill, and that was all it was going to be. Pin from the hatch, pin from the vert, brilliant pincer movement on him. And then that kind of was where the teamwork stopped inside of round 2 for DZ. Really strange.
Yeah, I don't really know either. And you know, it's console attack. You know, insert kind of boilerplate language we always say when we're casting this map. But you can't be dropping rounds like that, especially if you get, you know, if you get one right out the gate. You're feeling really good. It is only the second. It is only the second round, so let's see if a Darkzero can recover. You can see in terms of the momentum, they're not shaken whatsoever. Spirit's literally running the exact same pathing he had in the previous split round. Loses almost all his HP as I believe somebody top spiral just fires a bunch of shots through the smoke, but Panba. Two players feed themselves to the R4C. NJR on the opposite side with one. It's another quick 2v4 for M80, and perhaps we were a little too harsh on Darkzero. Or maybe not harsh enough. As in this moment, Gunner is riding just outside the site. Spirits' back turned to the Valkyrie. And so he creeps forward, just right behind the Blitz. But oh, NJR watching. If there's ever a man who's watching flank at a moment like this, it is the mayor himself. Diffuser lets the Blitz pass. No good angle, unfortunately, and that is it. Could be 2 attacks for Darkzero, but the ship is righted in round. No timeout necessary as they get their first attack.
I think we've just witnessed a crank round from DZ, which is a little bit of a rarity. Typically, you'll get a crank round out of Space Station. You'll not get one out of Darkzero, but that was it. Pamba, brilliant use of Ram's Boogie. Now, that thing makes a lot of noise. And when you hear it, typically you start thinking, oh, they're above. But instead, he just used it to immediately gain pressure into sight and create a load of noise, a load of chaos, and it opened up. Gap finding, found himself 2 kills. NJR the same. Obviously not using the same kit, but still finding that gap. The final kill, I mean, it was anybody's really. Spirit's just running down. Diffuser. Only ever going to end one way. Final round of bans through for this half. A Valkyrie and a Blitz remove. So M80 really going for the jugular. But Spirits is so versatile. You can't pick everything.
It's just, you can't play that game.
You're always going to leave him with something that he's very good on. And now he's on the Dokkaebi.
I mean, it's like what we said last day. It's like, you just can't play that game. Like, ultimately, Spirits is a really good player.
Yeah. He's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. The only way to win is by not playing.
Oh, you need a tin opener? Yeah, I've got one of those on my Swiss Army knife.
5 seconds left.
You know, I've not found a Swiss Army knife with a tin opener.
They all have one.
I've never been able... Really?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it's like you're expecting something with a handle on it and stuff, aren't you?
They've got hard breach charges on the can opener? No, I messed up the joke. God damn it. God, that's the worst feeling on the planet. God. Oh my God, I'm angry now.
It's okay. In like 2 weeks when everyone's forgot, I'll set you up for it again.
2 weeks to the day.
you can rehearse it.
See you back here September 26th before the broadcast. I'm like, oh, the thing about the Swiss. Oh, shit. No, that's not it. Not it. Yeah, the thing about. Oh, no, that's not working. Anyway, back on the shield. A shield. There are multiple. Could play Monty if you wanted to, or Fuse. It's Blackbeard instead. Very standard position held by Gavini right there. Honestly, kind of a lineup that we've seen before on the CEO sites. It's always like, this is a site with a lot of set permutations, you know. Are you going to bring in a Maru? Are you going to bring a Sens? Are you going to bring a Grim or a Shield? It's Adamant take this time. No quick repel and quick hop out like we see on the CEO sides of these rushes. And it always means we'll kind of have the same boxes we'll check. Okay, they'll have to deal with vending at some point. They'll have to fight long desk. They'll have to fight the connecting hallway. Then also get control deep. Make sure that that smoke and that Tachanka are minimized because that utility is perfect for stopping a plan on this side.
Hot and Cold's got some great kit, as you mentioned there. Those Shumikas brilliant job of denying some area. Sense Wall will go out.
Oh, wow.
Citizen's good for one, but it's all he'll get. Doing his best Spider-Man impression as he's rappelled down the main skylight. Gavini taking it out there, so that should allow players to push up. And yeah, you can see they're already at vending. So getting rid of the Azami there was crucial, and I think Citizen's maybe done his job, at least sufficiently for them to start pressing a bit further onto this site. Often vending can be a very difficult area to cross, but now you've still got the small problem of not only the diffuser being left inside of admin, which Pambazoo will rush back and grab, but you've still got 10 Shumika launches in 35 seconds. This plan starts going down. There's not really too much stopping those Shumikas from going, and there's a player below.
Oh,
Amber
that's...
wins a very important engagement, but the Shumikas are probably going to do all the work here, Lynx.
They're probably going to do all the work. That's still such a good heads-up play from Panba, but you're right. What do? DZ make the call. They realize they have to start pushing deeper. They've got to go for these picks. They've got to cause some uncertainty in the minds of Hot and Cold and Kino. It's not uncertainty, but a bullet that causes the most issues for Hot and Cold. But look at the time. Solo remaining, and M80 have the kills. Darkzero try to go for a plant, then try to pivot, and M80 hold on as best they can, slowly dragging them deeper and deeper into an inescapable quagmire.
It's such a good example of the whole Tachanka versus Smoke situation there, because it was never to deny the plant, but look at how you funneled those attackers exactly where you want them. You've just given them a rock and a hard place and put them slap bang in the middle of it. Forces Darkzero into a less than ideal take and a horrible pivot at basically no time remaining. DZ taking their time out here. Kenny trying to bring a little bit of stability to the roster at the moment, recognizing where they're going wrong. I think DZ, I believe they're spending a lot of time. When they go quick, sometimes they go too quick, and when they go a little bit slow, sometimes they're going a little bit too slow.
I mean,
that last round was a really good example.
It's always difficult to strike a balance with Consulate, right? Like, I envy them. Oh, sorry, opposite. I don't envy them. Do not envy them attacking with Consulate, just to be clear. But it's a difficult balance.
I get it, but like it's a best of one. They've ended up here. Like, they could have banned it.
Fine, no, I know, but like, I'm not saying they should have banned it. It's just like, you know the map you're going in, you know the problems you're going to deal with, but it's a different thing knowing the problem and then having to deal with it. Especially when it's an ever-present factor on the map, whether you're playing M80 or... Okay, maybe not if you're playing Cruelty, but like, if you're playing M80 or if you're playing Wildcard.
Yeah.
By the way, the reason I say that is not because, like, you know, mean-spirited joke against Cruelty. They did play Cruelty here, and it was a 7:30, so... Last stage, I mean. Not this stage. Because Darkzero have played Cruelty, but it was on Clubhouse, and it was a 7-2 this stage, so... That's why I had to clarify, Ollie, just in case you were curious.
No, I get it. I think it's good to have the context.
We praise accuracy.
We don't want to be called cruelty haters, do we?
No, that'd be cruel.
We want to be accurate in our criticism.
Speaking of accurate...
What were you going to say?
I don't know. I didn't.
What's accurate about this?
I didn't know. I was just kind of hoping I'd set you up and then you'd you know what to do with that.
M80, you can see that the confidence is starting to swell a little bit, and I always think when you get a Vigil coming, when you get a Scopos coming, that's when
it's an indicator.
You know that the team's feeling himself, right? You know that they're winning a lot of gunfight. I mean, Diffuser's 7-2, like he can do whatever he wants. You know it's a good feeling. DZ have read into it. They've gotten good information in the drones, and they've brought great tools to try and deal with slippy roam operators. Got the Deimos. We've got Nath on the gridlock. Speaking of, we'll get an opening kill onto Gunnar the Castle. They've also got the Dokkaebi. Now with that opening pick, so early on into the round, you'd hope that that gives DZ a little bit of space to work with here. But once again, I'm a little bit concerned because I am seeing players a little bit solo. Like,
well,
hello? I'm just walking through admin and Gavini's just there. Like, no one knows about him. We've even got Diffuser in admin. Like,
what?
I mean, maybe he's Scoposed up. Maybe he's switched up. But where's the Dokkaebi calls? Where's the Deimos tracks?
It's a bit strange. Easy Citizen might be finding something bottom spiral. By the way, if we want to be accurate, we want to be even-handed. That is now 5 opening picks in a row for Darkzero, and they've only converted one of those rounds successfully. It is quite a distinct parallel to that Cruelty game. So let's be fair here, because it seems we might be careening towards number 4 for M80 of recovering these 4v5s. To put Darkzero in another deficit, NGR and 8th in deficits of their own. It's great that Spirits is the one with full HP. He's got the Vendetta and 3 trackers. Kino just walks right into his crosshairs. That's an easy one to find. What do they do now? A 55-second pivot is possible. It certainly is. But what information are they finding? Diffuser and Gavini still up top. They might have vertical angles to look down and contest anybody trying to plant in A site. So again, Darkzero back up. Hot and Cold getting aggressive. Shot in the face. And so are Diffuser and Gavini still up top because of that kill? No, Diffuser back down. But it's 2 1v1s that Darkzero can take against these M80 defenders at the moment. And so Gavini and the Scopos will need to pick their engagements, time their shots just right, and ideally land them. That last bit that Diffuser struggles with as Nath just crosses back into the A site. Gavini's able to take down the flanker and start focusing on the players down below. Him and Diffuser can converge while the Scopos is just fended off. Gavini finds his moment and closes another on time. M80 always finding a way back.
You can't count this team out today, can you? They are overperforming so much against Darkzero here today. Darkzero should be winning these rounds with time to spare, with bodies to spare, almost utility to spare in some cases. And M80 are just fighting to the bitter end. Interesting fun fact, by the way. 2 minutes left on the clock. Spirits has 3 death marks. 3 seconds left on the clock. Spirits has 3 deathmark trackers. He didn't use any of that utility. Like, okay, you've got the Vendetta, it's a great gun. Okay, you've got the AK, it's a great gun.
It is a great gun.
But use the utility. Like, you need to know where these players are. You've got 2 really slippy defenders there in a Vigil and a Scopos. The Scopos can switch shields, the Vigil can turn the tracker on and evade the drones, and you know that there's one nearby, but you don't really know much than you did before. Deathmark? Like, even just for the mental side of things, even just to be like, oh, damn, I've been tracked. Like, he knows where I am now.
Or
Just seems a bit strange.
Do the thing where you activate, get the info, and immediately deactivate. Like, okay, Gavini's still up there. Still on the 3rd floor. Got it. That's something we can work with.
If you know where he is, you know where he isn't.
Matey just recovering 4 of these defenses now. Oh my god.
It's over. We've got Hot and Cold running out of main.
Okay, well, it's over for the first half, maybe. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves now. But to your point, it's the first time M80 start the round with an advantage, and if recovering has been so easy up until this point, surely converting won't be complicated. 2 players on site, 3 up top. Now Darkzero have to clear this setup of 4, or have to clear this setup with no shield being brought by Spirits, which was very important last time, and a man down. I just don't know if I see it.
I mean, NJL can at least watch cameras, so he can perform a little bit of duty there, but it's not going to be as effective as it really needs to be. Some of the kills that NJR finds are very important indeed. Another kill on a run out.
He's been here the whole time, by the way.
Spirits eventually gets a refrag Citizen. Is he just going to burst in and try and make something happen? Nath finds one as well. Okay. The tables have turned a little bit, but it's still advantage M80.
I was going to say, though, a little bit doing a lot of heavy lifting there. It's still a 1-body lead for M80, which is what they started this round on. And Spirits and Nath just 1 bullet away. That'd be a pretty big throw. Spirits is making good use of those deathmark trackers. As you see, tries to get some information, I believe, on Gunner. But obviously, with the ERC activated, that makes things a little tricky for the Deimos. Nath just around the corner, clearly aware of it. Gunner's just playing his life right now. Be careful about moving. Oh, he just hops up. Gunning for 4 at the moment. SMG 12 can always be tricky at these long-range engagements. but not when Gunner is on one today. How about 5 defenses to 1 as M80 get a half by all metrics should not have taken off.
I don't think I've said this yet, this stage, but that's my fantasy pick right there.
You've not said at this stage. You've actually been very good about that.
It's Gunner season, baby.
Hey, if it's Gunner season, that'd be great. He was one of the standout performers in NA for quite a little bit of 2024, but then has fallen off for M80. So if he's back, M80 will be feeling good.
Well, M80 are feeling very good at the moment. A 5-1 split. Okay, it's defensive consulate. It's expected to be a little bit attacker-sided. But with what we've just watched, there were definite and very clear possibilities and chances for Darkzero, and they have thrown them away. They've given themselves an extremely tough time of things now, moving into this defense side. And with the confidence that M80 displayed in that last round, like, I love this calculated aggression. We actually got a great view of it there. You mentioned that Gunner was waiting outside that breach with it already like prepped and open for like the longest portion of the round, and just took advantage of it. And it's like, no one runs out for the whole game, then someone runs out of main door and you think, oh, well, okay, that's it. And the next thing you know, you've got Gunner doing exactly the same thing, just one story above. A brilliant time to use those, let's be honest, kind of ranked and sort of ratty strategies that when you're in the flow of things, you don't always expect it.
Well, and when you're in the flow of things, you don't always expect it. And also, you've been conditioned to one set of circumstances for about 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And so when you're getting deeper into a game like that, you know, whenever a human being gets used to a situation, some of the things that are concerning them initially, as long as they happen consistently, you kind of automate, like, okay, this is going to happen. I know that. I can, what's the word I'm looking for? I can ration my brain power more efficiently by spending less focus on that, more focus on other things. So then when a team changes it up like that, all of a sudden this thing that kind of became a given, an assumption you're making, gets challenged in a very key moment by switching things up, whether it's changing the pace, getting aggressive, or slowing down, playing more passive. It's just a little thing that takes advantage of human nature. That is not something unique to M80, M80 or a Gunner. Every, I would say, good team knows how to play with the pace like that to take advantage of kind of the way the human cognition works. But it's great to like, specifically turn up the pace that late in the game for that reason.
Yeah. It's kind of like the first time you watch Cruelty get 7-0'd. And then the next time you kind of conditioned for it, so you come to expect it a little bit more.
That's crazy from you.
Let's see if we can see any stark differences here with M80 and their attacks. Darkzero started off their attacking phase moving very quickly. This has already been a much slower start to an attacking round. And Hot and Cold is going to be leading somewhat of a charge at the moment. Now, he does have the diffuser, and he is on Deimos. Going to get himself into a bit of a skirmish, but does need to be cautious. He might be getting pinched right now. Vendetta, maybe more favorable at these sort of ranges. But he's still playing pretty loose. And so far, no one's punished him. It's going to be Gavini to pick up the first kill onto NJR. NJR not having the best day of things at the moment.
No, I mean 6-6 is all right. It's certainly
He's just
good.
been first blooded a few times, hasn't he?
2 times in a row now on defense and attack. Or attack and defense. We want to be chronological. So it's just Darkzero feels like having a rough time at it. Able to get the lead, but nothing succeeding after that. Gavini playing very patient. As Pambazu looking, not necessarily to flank him, just to open up his options, try and destroy that air jab. So now M80 rotate down. They've got to worry about this vertical, but M80's solution to this on this site is always ignore it, hold the angles, try to find a way around. But unfortunately, Gunner's own firebolt is caught. Forces Hot and Cold into a different position and into the crosshairs of Darkzero. Gavini's able to get the next kill. But whether that's the Vulcan pack or the Capital Bolt, I don't know. It's fire that forces Hot and Cold off balance and Darkzero that push them onto the ground. Diffuser and Gavini now looking to recover, but Darkzero have stabilized, kept hold of the site and its extremities. And so Gavini, the only one of M80 to find success, falls just the same. Darkzero with their first round since the third.
Really nice play from Darkzero, kind of just letting M80 in. M80 seems to be moving quite carefree through the map. you know, we look at where Hot and Cold found himself, bottom of those Visa stairs, happy to sort of challenge on up, not really too worried about anything that was going on over in Spiral, able to walk through, get toward main, and into meeting. It kind of felt like M80 were trying to just slip and slide their way through with some of the same sort of frictionless behavior that they had on that defense side, but the friction came quite severely toward the end of the round. DZ almost letting them in and letting them counter that very play. A little bit unfortunate with the Capital Fireball and the smoke screen.
Was it Capital Fire? I'm pretty sure it was, but...
I think it was the Capital Fire. I think, like you said, it got caught on something.
Because I heard the sound cue right as he started walking through the fire, which is why I thought that.
I'm not sure if the sense wall was just a little bit confusing or it was just got caught on a corner or something like that, but I don't even know if the plant spot was different. It would have been, you know, there wasn't a lot of setup for a 5v5 plant or like a 5v4 plant. You know what I mean? Like usually you need a lot more setup going into one of those, and I just didn't really think that there was that much setup that had been done. But you never know. It may have pulled off under slightly different circumstances. M80 aren't going to be worried about it too much and can move instead onto round number 8, where they are going to go quite heavy on the shields. Both a Monty and a Blackbeard. Now, we saw plenty of shield uses from Darkzero. It didn't really do them very good, let's be honest. Will the same be said for M80?
Depends on which part of the round. If you're just talking about what happened immediately, did great.
Oh, great space find him.
Yeah. Then, like, right after the first 5 seconds of them running in, not as great. These things happen. Different shield ethos on M80, to be sure. Obviously, you have Hot and Cold who can make the space, but Kino makes spacing in a different way. Wow, Citizen just bobbing and weaving as shots being fired all around him. Oh my god, Hot and Cold is just down on the side at the moment. No diffuser, as that's where Kino is over on yellow, but the whole team is rotated. Think they found an opening inside of Archives, and by all metrics, it looks like they have. Kino gets into a safe position with nobody on the bottom floor. You've also got Diffuser and Gunner as well, keeping things level to make sure nobody rotates. And M80 have just worked themselves in with very little response or knowledge or foresight from DZ. First of the 2 mid-floor gunfights goes the way of Darkzero. The second as well. It's just on these thieves in the night who are protecting the Diffuser and trying to shepherd M80 onto match point. They've got all the right lines. Gavini with a long angle down the hallway. Hot and Cold with the immediate close quarters combat right on the opposite side of the barricade. And while everyone from M80 falls, that's the only first gunfight they've won. It's the time that's working out best. But Pamazu might still win it if they just keep Gavini locked down. What a call, and look at how much time M80 had. And in the nick of time, Darkzero snatch it back.
I mean, is this DZ's strategy tonight? Like, are they just letting M80 in and then playing retake? It's incredibly risky. And by the way, Consulate, very small map. If you can't hear anything, if you can't see anything, and everyone's sort of wandering around, wondering where everyone is, there's a very good chance that they're already in the site. If all of you defenders are off site and you can't see or hear anybody, take a wild guess as to what's happening. Because the plant's going down and you need to wake up. Now, fortunately, DZ not only woke up, but they also dealt with it together. There was none of this one-by-one rubbish that we often see on retakes. It was very well calculated. There was a lot of redundancy there. There was players stacked up. And let's be honest, there were some great shots here. I think Citizen hit a couple of bangers. Now, fair play to Darkzero. But I don't know. And on the flip side, M80, what are you doing planting with in a 5v5 again?
Well, it's...
Unless you can guarantee and hold that thing, there's no guarantees that you can hold that retake. It's not like they had some secret source or some really powerful position.
Honestly, for me, I think the thing that is more important was the coordination of the Darkzero retake. There were essentially just a bunch of 1v1s from M80. Diffuser separate from Gunner up top, so that's 2 1v1s that Darkzero can take. Then you have Gavini holding with the DMR down the side of the electrical hallway. Another 1v1. Nobody to trade him in that position, so Darkzero just double up, swing him, it was just 5 1v1s.
It does kind of come back to the old, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. And I think from M80's point of view, if it seems too good to be true that you can walk and get the plant down, in that instance, it definitely was too good to be true because Darkzero had a very good retake planned. There's a danger of them coming back into this one for M80 as well. They're only 2 rounds away at the moment.
The security of match point after round 8 would have been very, very nice. Losing that isn't it's not game over, of course, far from it. But 6-2 feels a whole lot better than 5-3, and 6-3 feels a whole lot better than 5-4. Suddenly, Darkzero are fully back in the race. Pamazu dropping down right in front of that barricade. But neither him nor Gunner fire shots toward the other. Wow! Spirits just with a slight peek around the corner, takes Gunner's head clean off, and that's a full retreat. 4 defenders all over by Archives. Like, nope! Back to the site for us because, Ollie, I don't know if you're counting, we only have 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
They know exactly what their win condition is, don't they? And at the moment, it's those Vulcan canisters. They've wasted the time. And now all they've got to do is let their utility do the rest. Hot and cold. Looks a little bit uncertain as to which avenue to take right now. Vini's playing Ram as well, and none of this vert has been done. You can see now as Kino starts to move through. I mean, yeah, the Ram boogie drones can make the vert, and they can make it very quickly, but you haven't got loads of time to capitalize on it if you only start at 45 seconds. DZ, not going to be too concerned now. This breach should get opened. There's still a couple of impacts knocking around, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it tricked. You can see Kino, he's trying to sort of body block that and stop that from happening. Smokes in, wall open. Kino trying to get that plant down. There isn't a lot of denial, as we've said, but there is a bit of information.
Ooh, there is information, but no C4s. All 2 have been used, so again, M80 have an opening. They have an opportunity, but the conversion of post-plant to victory is not certain. There's opportunity for Darkzero to fight back and fight these 3 players with guns in their hands. Kino on the full shield, that's a player you can work around. He's going to be giving intel to the attack. It's the other 3 that you have to concern yourselves with. Pamazu's worked himself up, retaken the vert, shot diffuser in the back, and while there's a trade, that's the more important gunfight. Gavini's neutralized Nath, hot and cold shutdown Citizen, and while Spirits is getting active, only 1 gun on 1, there's still that second player. There's still that 1v2, and there is no time remaining. That could be game over in our third 7-2 of the day, but instead, M80 finally move us to match point with their first attack coming in round 9.
That's one of the dangers of letting the plant go down. M80, they knew that there was not really many options. Vert started to get open with 45 seconds left to go. DZ, full retreat, entirely gave up the top floor at around the minute and 10-second mark, recognizing, hey, we've got a bit of utility, we can sit behind it. But they'd already spent those 2 C4s. And interesting, the Valkyrie actually brought a couple of impacts as well. Now, I imagine it was, if we'd have seen a little bit of a different round in the mirror window, we could have had a couple of impact tricks thrown out of it. But we never, the players were never in position to really take full advantage of that. And at the time that was left, 30 or so seconds, you've kind of got to concede and you've got to go, well, you know, it's not worth dying to throw an impact to stop the breach getting opened. We're just going to let the breach open. Well, the Monty turned around, shield on their back. It's very difficult to stop when you've only got bullets to do it. If you've not got a C4 or any explosives, any smokes or anything of that nature, you are going to struggle. Weirdly now, M80's timeout. I feel like they've got kind of good momentum after that last win, but obviously they're not going to be able to go and just assume that they're going to be able to win the next round so easily. It's taken them a couple of rounds to find success on the attack. They're obviously going to want to discuss how they're going to approach not only that top floor, but also the mid-floor bomb site, dependent now on what DZ pick.
This has been an interesting time, as I feel like normally when we see like tactical timeouts come after a round when it's like, okay, we just barely got that one over the line, right? Which, to be fair, don't get me wrong, there were definitely some warning signs for M80 in round 9. But the post play was actually pretty clean, all things considered. They're able to deal with the retake from Pamazoo and I think Citizen. Kino and Hot and Cold had the diffuser lockdown. All things considered, that was a generally pretty nice post plant and a pretty nice immediate follow-up to it. So there are things to talk about. I'm not critiquing the timeout, just to be clear. I just thought it was interesting. Normally when we see it after a win, it's a lot closer than that. A lot more of a nail-biter than that.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to use it because you don't want to give DZ the same 45 seconds to discuss at maybe a more critical point in the game. At the moment, it's not critical for M80 to win this next round, but if they leave it a couple, it maybe gives a bit too much time over to DZ to stabilize. So I can see the logic. I kind of like it. And if M80 come out now with a super clean round, then, you know, GG's. It doesn't matter anyway. It'll be a 7-3, but we'll have to see if that's what happens right now. Dropped the shield. Instead, they're going to be favoring that flank watch protection. Kino primed and ready, waiting for that wall, or waiting for that barricade, excuse me, to get opened up in front of him. Does have the 612 as well. We've already spoken tonight about how the 612 is much more viable now the machine pistol exists. The way that M80 have been playing, I kind of don't know what to expect because I wouldn't be surprised if they just try and start getting the plant down. Because again, we've seen them do it a couple of times here tonight where they've kind of paid little to no attention to the defense and what the defense want to try and do. Previously, when we saw this site, Hot and Cold, he just kind of walked in.
I think we'll see another Hot and Cold walkabout. He's on the Deimos again. Could happen. So I suppose
at least it'd be a bit of a later walk-in this time.
And also at Lack Ascends might make things a little different. Well, Lack Ascends inclusion of the Ying. You can see him on Repel, so it's an opposite-sided take from what they did before, coming in through a main lobby back in round 7. This time, at least at the moment, more on the art yellow side. Gunner firing a lot of bees up on the top floor, likely preparing for that retake. Yeah, just causing as much chaos for these vertical angles as they can. Gavini will move up. That's a great shot by Pamazoo. This whole plan, it's fallen to pieces for M80. Pamazoo doing the entire defense's job with one vector. 3 kills plus 1 from NJR, plus who will get the last? Who else but Nate? Flawless for Darkzero. Timeout ineffective.
I don't know what the take was. Like, that wasn't even the site. There was so much used to try and take control of top floor when we've seen them previously just kind of walking through admin side and do it. I think telegraphing yourself and throwing the kitchen sink and utility and then trying to repel in off the back of it or have someone walk in, like, it just doesn't work. You need something coming in from that admin side at the very least if you're going to try and make that happen, because otherwise players can just tuck up and watch windows, or if you Pamazoo, you can just hit a few headshots. I mean, we can't all do that, Pamazoo, unfortunately. Some of us just have to tuck and pray and hope for the best when we can finally see after the Yin Candela's worn off. But, like, jokes aside, it felt like a very soft attack from M80 and kind of not what we've seen them do so far tonight. We've seen them be quite plant focused, quite bold in their intentions, and we've not really seen a 3-2-1. And the first one that we see really doesn't work.
I got a couple more chances, but
Attackers have located a bomb.
really just one more to close this out. Oh, 2, actually. There we go. Math wasn't mathing.
5 seconds to go.
Got 2 more chances to close this out and get the full 3 points from today, just to give a little bit of a quick highlight over the standings. M80 currently at 8, also flawless. Only team alongside Shopify without a loss so far. Darkzero losing in overtime to Shopify. And so M80 to keep their spot at the top of the standings would be very nice, especially as a team that had a lot more struggles over last stage than I think we and they expected. Missing out on EWC, especially a bit of a gut punch, I think, for a team that we still have very high expectations for. Now looking towards CEO against a team that has just as high of expectations placed upon them by us and themselves. It's a quick entry. Diffuser moving into Visa very fast. Kino bringing the shield back into play. The Blackbeard since the Monty's banned. But a full admin side take at the moment. Remember that play-by-play we gave earlier? Vending to long bar to connecting hallway, pushing deeper if you have to. It's going to be the same damn thing here.
Gavini Vini just getting his Flores Rosero drone shot there on that main desk. Gunnar can hop in and get that wall open and then go and use his utility elsewhere. Might actually be able to get this small wall open as well. That is going to be the play. It's not often that you see an attack sort of base itself through this, but it's a great little angle to get open. Spirits, those ADSs aren't going to save you, my friend, and one of them actually gets taken out as well. It's got some Kiba barricades coming in from that long desk from Pambazoo just to provide him a little bit more safety, but even that's going to get destroyed. You can already hear Shumika launcher of NJR getting sent through, and
no.
through the drone hole. Pambazoo. He goes, you know what, Spirits? You've done a great job there. I'm now going to retake it, and I'm going to retake it on the Azami. It's going to be even more egregious to deal with me.
It is really looking like M80 missed an opportunity with that Server's Teller's defense, because everything afterwards has not only been Darkzero, it's been all Pambazoo. 15 and 7, only Impact only stopped because he's down on the floor, but that might be all you need. Gunnar works his way into the cubby, finds a brief gap, and it's a 3v3. Stable for the moment, but somebody, Spirits on Jaeger, posturing at the main desk, and M80 think they found their opportunity. Again, hot and cold, looking very far. They're covering all these angles. They're all lining up for M80. Pambazoo's best efforts, his best intentions gone to waste. As a Deathmark tracker buzzes defeat in Nafe's ears, it seemed like 6-5 was all but certain when M80 is stopped at vending, but they pull it back with just a regular old 7-4, remain undefeated in the NAL Stage 2.
Well, that's the first time that M80 have beat Darkzero since Stage 1 of 2024. A very good sign for this M80 roster. And let's be honest, they had plenty of opportunities prior to this scoreline to convert it into a full win. Darkzero, I think they will be looking back at this day with fairly critical eyes because they too had a lot of opportunities on that attack. Let's see what our desk has to say about it just after this.
Wonder, please, Matt.
Trust me, I have it. He's probably like Batman right now.
Yeah, he's a track or not?
He's in pro. You, Sean.
No!
Good
I got drone hold. I'm retarded. I mean, I'm dumb.
Fucking go, baby. Fucking go.
Yeah. Well, fucking.
Welcome back to the NAL, where we've just seen M80, as per your predictions, take out DZ. We had some questions whether or not the roster was going to be able to do it, and they have proved us that they are capable of doing just that, and they have proven you guys right. Congratulations. I don't know why that's like something you're excited about. But we also have Hot and Cold ready for the interview to kind of give us a little bit of the rundown as to what the prep looked like for this game specifically, and if there was anything you guys did a little bit more different considering it was DZ.
I mean, honestly, the prep really didn't help us because, you know, they haven't played Consulate for a minute now. Hey, shut up.
That's the IGL I know. I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much prep on them, to be honest. We just had to focus on ourselves. Yesterday, obviously, it was a very shaky game for us, so mainly focusing on our defensive late rounds, you know, this time around. I mean, Consulate's a better defensive map in general, so, I mean, it's a little easier, but just mainly focusing on ourselves.
Oh yeah, I definitely noticed that. Your guys' defenses, a lot of the situations that you were in, you guys displayed a lot of discipline, just holding back, waiting for DC to go for an execute, forcing them to do an execute. Was that a part of your guys' game plan going into today, is let's make DZ execute because it looks like they're kind of struggling throughout the weeks, going aggressive? Was that the whole game plan, is just stalling them out? What was the game plan essentially, if you don't mind sharing?
Like I said, we didn't really have a specific game plan for them. We just wanted to play our own game and just react based on how they're playing. In my opinion, they were playing like very sporadic in that. Like it was a little weird to say about DZ, but they were like playing super sporadic and their attacks just kind of felt all over the place. So I just told, you know, Sean, Gav, D to just just start fighting these guys on the entries because like they were just all spread over or like spread out around the map.
Well, Matt, congratulations on a win. 4-0 streak going hard right now. I want to ask, with the one change that you guys did make throughout this stage was putting Kino more on that structured support role, not being able to flex around. Do you think that has really helped everyone else just be comfortable within their own role? I've talked about this numerous times on the desk now, but when you have one player that you know is going to be in said position, not going to be moving around too much, is going to play that one secure area and be that pillar, do you think that is allowing everyone else on the team, and even including yourself, to kind of just set up, especially on those attacks and defenses, to say the least?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I was kind of known as like a Monty player, which I feel like I probably am like one of the best callers on the Monty, but I don't think like I'm necessarily the best mechanical shield. Like, I think Kino clears me in that regard. So, I mean, that was a reason for making that move, but also just like giving me the options to flex around my ops and do whatever I want based on the attack I'm calling, I feel like helps. I think it's added a little more frag power, surprisingly, but you know, like I know Lau gets it done when he has to, so I think overall it's been, I mean, it's obviously been good so far, but
it's been good so far.
We gotta keep improving. I mean, our big focus since coming off of stage 1 is just the fundamentals. Like, we easily should have made, you know, EWC or whatever. That slipped through our fingers by, you know, the littlest of clutches, and that was all due to just our shitty fundamentals. I'm gonna be honest. Like, so many rounds thrown, and you know, just minimizing the thrown rounds is, you know, our goal. Obviously, it it still happens. Yesterday is an example of that, but you know, we're working. We're just slowly inching.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's working. I mean, you guys had a phenomenal start so far to stage 2, so I'm excited to see how the next couple of weeks are going to be unfolding for you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Yeah.
M80's looking good, man.
They are.
This is a huge improvement. And I mean, like he just said, Kino being on that position allows him to flex roll and be able to move around his pieces that he's playing, and also being able to be that IGL. And I mean, I think he said it best, and it's something that we were looking at with DZ. They're looking a lot more sporadic than we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it goes back to the initial point where they said that they were, you know, looking back at their own style of play and changing it based on what happened at EWC. I think they got to go back to basics, if I'm going to be completely honest with you.
I mean, I agree with you. The whole highlight before this match of DZ was essentially that. Go back to basics of taking a position, locking it down. The Consulate's a weird map in that regard. It's not as easy to just take a position and lock it down. There was a lot of times where they'd take a position and go for the execute, and Hot and Cold was being very humble. A lot of these situations, like the round we're seeing on your screen, it was just M80 waiting for them to go for the execute, and then there would either be a C4, some piece of utility, or a flank coming through to pinch Darkzero. And Darkzero didn't have a response to it like we normally saw, despite Panba's better efforts of trying to get as many rounds for Darkzero as possible. That was definitely the downfall. Is it looked like they were trying to do that, but it wouldn't work. So then they try to get more creative and faster and more aggressive, and that wouldn't work because everyone was on completely different wavelengths for DZ.
Yeah, I mean, there was one round that X was talking about where they had the Deimos, they had the Dokkaebi, they knew that M80 was roaming, but they didn't use any of that to try to even clear any of the roam, and they were also losing out to the roamers. And you were just talking about it today in the pregame of just saying, you know, they are playing back to that old DZ way, using the utility, forcing players out of position, where then again today, we didn't really see that too much. And then to even have Hot and Cold be like, oh, it's kind of weird, they're playing a lot more sporadic than it typically is. Again, I think it really goes back to what we talked about during the first play day or the second play day, is I think they're looking too much into their own play style of something that happened internationally that clearly wasn't an issue in their previous stage at a regional level.
Yeah, overcomplicating it for sure.
Absolutely.
I agree. I definitely think they need to go back to basics. That being said, I mean, I like the game plan from them, banning the mute so they could run the Blitz Dokkaebi very quickly, but then Spirits, 2 of the 3 rounds where Blitz was up, overextended and got picked before he could actually have use of it. So I don't know, it just felt like one foot in front of the other, and every single player was just in a different positioning or different headspace. So yeah, just trying to rally it all up together.
Yeah, back to the drawing board for DZ side of things, whereas M80 has done really well. But speaking of Rally Point specifically is going to be starting September 19th, where there's going to be game nights every week from Friday to Sunday. Individual participants will be queued into teams, and you're going to be able to get some points, get onto that leaderboard based on your own performance. But there's also going to be a team participation aspect for it, which is the Rally Cups, and that's going to be every 2 weeks from Saturdays specifically, with the Rally Point final being on December the 12th. So 2 teams are going to get the top 10 players that have got onto that individual leaderboard during the regular season, playing for a $10,000 prize pool that's going to be distributed across the Rally Cups and the Game Nights and Rally Point finals. If you want to join the Discord to get a little bit more information, or you just want to head over to the website radiant.gg/R6 Rally Point to make sure if there are any questions you got, or just, find out what's going on, participate, do your thing.
Don't worry, I'm not going to say.
Yeah,
look,
no,
you're
no, right on
LFG,
cue. Love that.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
We're
we're used
But that
to
was a
it.
great segue into it, though.
That
with
was
the
a good segue, yeah.
Yeah, you set me up for success there. Thanks, appreciate it. Either way, we still have one more best of one coming your way this evening, and that is going to be OXG against Wildcard coming up after this break.